Welcome to the CU 2.0 podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the CU 2.0 podcast with big new ideas about credit unions and conversations about innovative technology with credit union and fintech leaders. This podcast is brought to you by Quillo, the real-time loan syndication network for credit unions, and by your host, longtime credit union and financial technology journalist Robert McGarvey. And now, the CU 2.0 podcast with Robert McGarvey.
25% cash back on an Amazon purchase, 35% back at Kroger. Now do I have your attention? And this is cash back on a debit card. You thought debit card cash back vanished a decade ago? It had. But now it just may be coming back big time. On the show are David Metz, CEO of Prizeout, an innovator in ad tech, and he is here to talk about a new product, Cashback Plus Pay. Also on the show is Amy Sink, CEO of Interra Credit Union, an Indiana institution with assets around $2 billion. That is an investor in the Prizeout QZO. As for those eye-popping cashback purchases, they're real, and both were enjoyed by Interra members who had signed up for Cashback Plus Pay Relate Sync. They were short-term, too. They were real. According to Prizeout, the first group of credit unions now live with Cashback Plus Pay include Interra, Michigan State Federal Credit Union, United Financial Credit Union, Golden One Credit Union, and People Driven Credit Union. Cashback rates vary, sometimes by day, often by a member's particular demographic. But, says Metz, the usual rate now is averaging 6.8%. Rewards are instant, too. Metz tells about the mechanics of Cashback Plus Pay in the show, and Sink is the articulate evangelist. Also on the show is in a cameo is Andrea Holland, who handles communications for Prizeout. It's a good show, and it persuaded me that there is future for cashback on a debit card. Listen up. Good. I always like talking to you. I'm in college. I majored in philosophy, and one of the core philosophical principles is ex nihilo nihil fit. Out of nothing, nothing comes. And along comes David Metz, and he says, "Wow, I can make something come out of nothing." I find that intriguing. I'm not saying therefore you can't do it.
And look where we are today. We've evolved.
Now it's rewards programs for debit cards, soon to be credit cards. It's members being able to earn money on things that they would buy anyway. It's going to be a buy local strategy here in my credit union shortly, eventually. But we had
how are you going to make that happen, Amy?
Well, I think the big thing, Robert, is we have to get the members used to the product. So we have to get them in using the things that they normally buy. So gas, groceries, Targets, the things that they go to. But we have a lot of small commercial loans here. We are a very, and I would love for my Main Street people to be able to put this into their product line, and us to be able to help them subsidize it with some of our, no different than we do with other things that we give them, a better rate here or a better rate there, that we're helping them get and use this as part of a triangle of use our card, come to the Ace Hardware store, and, be an Interra member. And, so that buy local strategy. We had to start, though, with the members being used to the product. We couldn't start with the businesses using it to that degree, but eventually that is a goal of mine, to get that into the hands of that buy local. Because anybody can be put into this product, anybody. So it's not just for the big box stores. It can be a local hot dog vendor. It can be a local, we had a bait and tackle shop that used it. It can be an Ace Hardware store. It can be, clothing stores on our Main Street. So I think it can be part of our treasury management offering. It's just, I think that's it. We needed to get it into the hands of our members to show them how to use it first, instead of having the businesses being burdened with show them how to use it.
Oh, I remember I was one of the first people to sign up for Android Pay years ago. And it was the only place that took it was Whole Foods, the only place I shopped at. And it rarely worked there. And no one at the store knew how to talk about a problem. Nobody.
Right.
It's And I was more interested in tech, so I played with it, but no sane person would have done that.
Right. I mean, this one for them, it shouldn't be that difficult. It looks like a Facebook ad, kind of advert, you're putting it together and should be very easy for a business. It's just, we needed to start with the member instead of starting with the businesses. And I think
Right.
that's what we've done. And I mean, our members are now, what are we, close to 2% now, David?
Yeah, especially since we launched Pay, it's really taking off. It's funny, I did a Vision Day, right? Amy does a once a year Vision Day, and I was one of the presenters. And one of the things we talked about was just the adoption of new payments over the years. And it was interesting in my research that, debit cards came out in like 1969, but by like 1985, less than 2% of people actually used it, right? So it's interesting how slowly people adopt new technologies. That's moving faster just because technology is moving faster, it's becoming easier. But the fact that we've made this inroads this quickly has been really encouraging. But when you're giving people cash back where they normally have never gotten it before, it's a lot easier, right? Because use your debit card, get nothing, use Pay and get cash back on average around 7%, which is pretty cool.
I'll just chime in right now because I don't know when you want to officially start it, but I know obviously you've covered our initial queue, so you're familiar with the announcement. You spoke to Suncoast back at the time. You've covered the launch of Cashback Plus initially. And then in addition to the QSO expansion. So we've kind of kept you up to date as we've gone here along our own journey and roadmap of the company and the product and the partners that we brought on. So this latest announcement that we're going to be going out with next week is called Pay. And so it's really an expansion of our current ecosystem, which both of them are here to talk to you about today, what it is, what it looks like, and then Amy specifically, how it's been with their members so far and also within the credit union.
The tape was rolling. So, debit rewards basically vanished around 2015. So talking 6-7% today that's a pretty big deal. It's a big number. That said, I looked up Amazon's marketing budget for last year, and an estimate was $24 billion and change. So they got a few bucks to throw at something like this. Is Amazon involved in this, by the way?
They gave us 25% for one day on a Saturday for all of my members.
That is cool. That is really cool. I wish I'd been in Indiana.
Exactly. It was a surprise thing, and we throw it. But see, that's the cool thing about a product like this is, working with David, working with his team, we can run, kind of these types of surprise events or things that are unplanned and give, and now take money. I mean, basically taking money from Amazon, right? But I mean, who doesn't want to take money from Amazon? I mean, if
my point is that if they're spending $24 billion on marketing, this is just another part of that marketing spend. So
exactly.
We don't buy that hat on Facebook. Okay, fine. We'll throw the money into this. That's
right. And I think that our members, once they got once they get that, and it was so that was part of the Cashback Plus rollout, right? For us was throwing that kind of a surprise, ad for our members and sending it through a few different things and trying to let it go viral with some other, some of our employees and some of our members saying, oh my gosh, Interra's got, this great product. You should download this thing. And people are like, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. Show me how to find it. And, I was even sending it to I sent it to my board members and they're like, how do I get it? How do I find it? And, because everybody wanted, who doesn't want to get 25% from Amazon? So it is one of those fun things. That's what we need to make it be like. Payments need to be fun in financial services and, get them to, somewhat how to game it so that then they start to use it even on a regular basis. And I think that was part of it. So Amazon, what other one did we do, David? We did another one. Kroger. Oh yeah. I missed the Kroger one. I waited too long. We did it for 24 hours with Kroger. And that one was 35% at Kroger.
At a grocery store where the margin is paper thin.
I know. And again, people were like, who doesn't want 35% off of their groceries?
Yeah, no, that's I would have run down there too. I never shop in Kroger.
I never shop at Kroger. But I mean, how many of my employees and my members need that type of, boost? It's phenomenal. And if we can run things like that and give people access to things. That's what we're here for. And I love it. I love that mentality of being, and no, is it there every day? No, but Kroger's on the list every
Oh,
day.
you're getting me used to using it. It's
Right.
so what this Discover Card does this every quarter. They have a 5% category,
Mhm.
and I only use that card in one quarter of the year. Their training hasn't worked for me, but yes, I'm attracted to that 5%.
Yep.
It's, David, do any of your other credit unions, are they doing things this ambitious?
Yeah, so we went live with Interra first. Just recently went live with MSU. A week ago, we went live with Golden One, and we have Langley and Suncoast up next. We're moving pretty quickly. Would it be helpful if I kind of just walk you through what Pay is?
Yeah, sure.
Pay is actually a standalone app that we built. We've walked through a couple of times the core product where members can log on to their online banking and buy digital gift cards. What started to happen is power users started to emerge and they wanted to use gift cards for more and more everyday spend. But the issue was like, how do I get it faster? Because a lot of times they're standing in line at Kroger or Walmart. And a lot of times you're reliant on online banking or core, and like it wasn't fast enough. So we work with our credit union, like how do we build a standalone app where it's a much more consistent and fast process? Because if we want people to change their spending habits, they need to get the gift card instantly. So we built a standalone app, and this app, members from any credit union, as long as they're part of a Prizeout partner, can download the app and they'll see their credit union on there. They'll click on the credit union and they'll actually log on and connect their checking account to the app. So whenever they go in store, they just click on the merchant and they type in the exact amount. So if they're at Walmart and it's $97.23, they just type it in and within a second, the gift card appears. Now they're earning cash back on average 7% on every transaction. And because they're paying with their checking account, it's the same thing as if them paying with their debit card. The only difference is now they're paying through this app, and they're earning cash back on all their purchases. And for debit card users, for a long, long time, like you said, since 2015, they haven't been rewarded. And now they're getting rewarded on things like groceries and everyday spend. And people that have downloaded it made a purchase with one of those merchants. So let's say they purchased on pay Kroger. What happens now is 60% of their previous debit spend on Kroger now goes entirely through the app. So it's basically replacing their debit card altogether, which is pretty cool. It's great because the members now getting cash back and the credit union's making more non-interest income off of it than if they just swiped their debit card and got interchange off of it. So everyone's walking away a winner.
So you're dismantling the traditional debit rails, though, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure that overjoys the folks at Visa and MasterCard.
Well, when I say everyone walks away a winner, not everyone exactly.
Yeah. And how do you work this magic? I mean, these rails, the Visa MasterCard rails, are reliable, well established, blah, blah, blah.
It's interesting because gift cards is the only thing in the world that's universally accepted everywhere, but doesn't live on the Visa and MasterCard rails, right? You can walk into any merchant online or offline and you can pay with a gift card, right? So it is a form of currency, but it doesn't live on the Visa and MasterCard rails. So we're just levering that behavior and allowing consumers to pay that way. It just has never been thought of that way. It's always been thought of me giving Amy a gift card for her birthday, right? It's really never been thought of as like self-use. So we just took something that has always existed and just really redefined it.
Well, and I think that's where David's team has been so good at listening to how our members need it to work. And instead of it being, like he added this Cashback Plus because they saw the need of the speed at the membership being at the location and being, I needed it sooner. I couldn't wait for it to, hit my account and then open it and do all of these steps. This is more seamless and it makes it, it's like paying with your card. You're just, you open up the Cashback Plus, you type in the dollar amount and there you go. And once the member gets the hang of that, they know that they're saving money. And it was so easy. I just look to make sure that the vendor that I'm at is on there, and then that's all you do. So I think David's team we've evolved this as credit unions because David's team has listened and helped us as a partner build these tools.
Are there any caps on how much reward a member can get? Yeah, I'm thinking about, I have an Amex rewards card that groceries, you get 5% back up to $5,000 worth of groceries, something like that. It's but there is a cap on it.
So the only cap is gift card laws. So you're only allowed to spend $5,000 a day per merchant on a gift card, right? So like you can only spend $5,000 in one day at Kroger, right? So that's the only cap, is what the gift card laws are. But $5,000 on one merchant a day is pretty reasonable.
And what if I go to the Apple store and my bill is $7,000? What happens then if I'm using this card?
In that case, you would do $5,000 on pay, and then you'd pay the rest with your
So
debit.
have them bring it up in 2 transactions.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. The only time we get those kind of numbers really is we've kind of dominated travel in the credit union, especially in the cruise space, because we're giving 10-15% on the major cruise lines. So if you're spending, $4,000 or $5,000 on cruises and you're getting 10-15%, that's real money back. So that's the only time we really see it in any single day transaction.
Do you have Carnival and Royal Caribbean?
We do.
Wow. That's Silver Sea, which is a Royal Caribbean cruise. The couple can easily spend $10,000.
Oh yeah.
So,
for sure. Oh yeah. We've had employees that are like, we can't even believe how much money we saved just putting that on there. The other one is Airbnb. People buy Airbnb money all the time.
and how much back on Airbnb?
Let me check.
You're gonna hurt me on this because I've recently spent like $3,000 or $4,000 on Airbnb.
It's been as high as 20%.
Oh.
Let me check. I'll check today. I'll give you, because it changes all the time. That's the other thing. You got to check all the time.
Robert, April Klobus, the CEO of MSU, told me recently that they've had a few new members join because they heard about the cashback on travel, specifically cruises. So they've gotten new members because word got out of the kind of cashback you're able to get on it, which is pretty cool.
Mine's currently at 6 though for Airbnb. But see, the other thing, Robert, is and you might know this, it does it based on demographics and your market. So like my son lives in Chicago, and sometimes my Instacart for giving Mike is like 10, 11, 12%. But when he opens his up, it's like 8. And so I will buy it because they're trying to get me as a consumer on Instacart, and his demographics not as much, right? So it kind of just depends on where you are and who you are, because these people, they throw money at different parts of the demographic. So I like that too. We like the fact that it's different for different people.
It's interesting. Yeah, cruise lines, I'm sure part of their motivation is they'd love to disintermediate travel agents who are getting 10%. So if I give 10% to a consumer who's buying directly, it's a wash in my mind if I'm a cruise executive.
Yeah. Also, Robert, remember the merchant's not paying interchange as well. So they're saving on that as well.
So why do you only have a handful of credit unions, David? Come on, man.
No.
You're giving away money. You have a little money printing press downstairs.
We have about 35 credit unions live. We're just now rolling out the pay feature.
Yeah, I'm talking about. This is the most exciting thing. Every time we've talked, you come up with a new wrinkle. It's more exciting, but you're kind of outdoing yourself this time.
I know. I got to go on a pilgrimage and think about what's next, right? We're not going to, we try not to bother you unless we have exciting news, Robert.
No, Andrea is very good about that. She if she gets in touch, she usually has something that interests me, because this is free money, and it's adding some life to a debit card, which is cool.
Well, what's pretty cool is we had a QSO meeting a couple of months ago, and one of the stats we shared is that, we're giving on average around 7% on every transaction. That's 2.7 times more cash back than any of the big banks can give. That's on credit card, right? We're giving it for debit use, right? For checking account, right?
And kids like debit cards. They don't like credit cards. Kids, I
Well,
mean, anybody under 30.
Well, that's what's interesting is that like a lot, when I first started working with credit unions, I didn't realize how much of the country just uses debit card. And then when you really dig in, it's not necessarily because they don't qualify. A lot of the people are just like, I don't want to get in trouble. So they're actually doing the right thing, right? They don't want to tempt themselves, but they're also, until we came along, weren't getting rewarded for that. So it's nice to be able to give not only some reward, but more reward than even the big banks can give for being smart about your money and spending through debit. So that's been a unintended benefit about all this, which is pretty cool.
Now, what's to stop Chase from saying, hey, this David guy's doing something smart. Let's figure out what he's doing and let's do it ourselves too, but not involve you.
That good luck. Big banks are like aircraft carriers. It takes days for them to turn or move or pivot. The one of the reasons that Amy and the other credit unions ended up investing in us is that they wanted to have more control, right? Like if you were going to build together, we don't want necessarily you the next day like selling to Capital One or Bank of America or something like that, right? So it's usually, at least in my experience and from the stories I've heard, like credit unions are always like second or third adopting new technology. And now they're not only adopting, they're leading, right? Like they're at the forefront of this, which is pretty cool.
But
Yeah.
they're owners in the QZO, so they're not
Yeah. Well,
simply customers. So
right. We wanted to give him a speed bump to at least think about us before he took a big check from somebody, Robert. So, I mean, I think, David obviously is in charge and he can make, adjustments to his business as he needs. But we as a QSO board, give him some guidance on, and, clearly there's quite a few people, as you know, in the marketplace from the credit union side that we think should be using this. And so that's really the next step is getting more credit unions involved. But somebody like, I mean, in different QSOs over time, my worry was all of a sudden it's not that Chase or B of A come up with their own product. They come and they buy his.
yep.
And then they kick us all out because they don't really want to run. They don't want us in it. They just want us. They want to take us out. Or somebody like Visa or MasterCard comes along and says, hey, wait a minute. Who is this guy and why are they not using the Visa rails? Same thing. They come and they try to take somebody like that out, which again, David's in charge. But as the QSO, we want to keep growing and, helping him change this product so that he can see that it can be successful and grow and, the value, continue to grow for not only him and the investors, because there are other investors besides credit unions included in this. So, but that's part of the process is to keep growing and building more value.
Now the lead credit unions now and Pay are multi-billion-dollar credit unions. Amy, do smaller credit unions have a role in this? Can they get involved in this?
I think we've of course leaned on the big credit unions up front, which I think is smart because we've got to get the volumes, we've got to get we got to get the people with the big shops. As this product matures, I think you can go down the line, but not right now. David's got to he had to get all the links built with all the home banking. So he had to get the big alchemies. He had to get, the credit unions that had the value propositions to make, he's got Lumen, he's got Alchemy, he's got Q2, he's got
NCR,
Jack Henry, all those people had to be in. The small credit unions couldn't pull enough to get that, to happen. That then now, if we've got a Q2 credit union that comes along and just wants in, David can let them in.
Right. Well, also a credit union your size, you can peel off an experienced executive to be heavily involved in implementing this program.
Yeah.
And a $500 million credit union I don't think they have that person available right now. Now, if you have a compelling story, which you're developing, they'll make a person available.
Well, I think the other thing though is, a credit union my size, so I don't run a big IT shop where somebody like MSU, they have a much bigger, back office side. So they do things working with David that gives David a lot of experience working with that size credit union, where my credit union still can be a little more nimble and say, David, show us how you want this to go in. So I think we both give David some advantages by doing it and having the different sizes of shops. And I think that's important for David, learning the space and learning the different credit unions that, some of us can get things implemented very quickly because we don't have a lot of overhead to get it through. And others are like, no, they want to check and do different things inside their credit unions, both of which give David a clear insight into how he can grow the company even faster.
Now, how did you persuade your members? I admit, if you offer me 25% or something at Amazon, I don't need too much persuasion. But how did you persuade them that there's some reality here?
Well, I think the first thing, Robert, is getting the team. I mean, my team, it's understanding, and I've shared this story with others. We as credit unions have always focused on product, and we sell product much better. We how many times do you get a car loan in your lifetime? 4, 5, 6. How many times do you buy a house? 2, 3 times. Payments you're doing every day. So this particular product, we have to fight every day for payments. And the payments drive what? Deposits. We're all in the market for low-cost deposits, and low-cost deposits are a finite resource. And what the big banks have the biggest share of is the low-cost deposits. And that's what's has to keep growing our industry. And if we're not fighting for payments every day, we're going to lose low-cost deposits. So not only is this a payment side where we're fighting for, how is Amy Sink spending her money every day? Because Amy Sink used to just come to my branch, put in her direct deposit, get a debit card, maybe a credit card, and then we just let her go. We didn't talk to her at all, unless she wanted a car loan or a mortgage loan. Now we have to talk to Amy Sink all the time. And we have to have things that are compelling for Amy Sink to have, because Venmo is there, and McDonald's app is there, and Starbucks app is there. And guess what? They're taking my payments, and they're now taking my deposits. So I have to fight every day. So how do I get people? I give them a 25% Amazon, and I say, you have to spend this with Cashback Plus. And guess what that means? It has to be in your Interra account.
Cool. David, merchant enrollment, how easy is that? I mean, you have experience at doing this. So
before we even started working with credit unions, we worked in lots of different industries. So it's not like we had this idea and then we needed to get the merchants. In the other industries we worked in, years before we started working with credit unions, we already built up a really big base of merchants. So that was helpful to kind of hit the ground running. And then it's all about making sure we're integrated with the point of sales. So we're integrated with companies like Square and Shopify and WooCommerce. So they have millions of merchants. So instead of having to go one by one, you integrate with their point of sale, and then you instantly get access to them. So that's kind of been our strategy to be able to scale up merchants.
now, what's the fee structure for a credit union that's involved in this?
They only pay a SaaS fee for the pay product, but the money that they make off of the rev share that we give them on every single purchase more than offsets that. So basically, not only are they neutral in it, they end up making more money than there is cost.
So why would a credit union say no?
It's a good question.
I think part of it is the understanding of, one, you have to get it past the term gift card, right? You have to get past that, because other people just look at it like, I don't need gift cards. And it's way more than that.
Yeah, I give gift cards to relatives to whom I don't know what to give what a present.
Right.
You know? Okay, here's a gift card for you.
So you
Amazon.
have to
You'll
get
love
it
it.
into that. You have to get it into that payments world, and you have to get it into the. It's going to impact your deposits. It's a rewards program for your debit card. It's a rewards program for your credit card. I think once we get it into that space, and that's really the space that I think David has. I mean, David and his team they've heard us. They've listened to the credit unions and said we can do that. And every single time I turn this on, I'm always shocked at the number of merchants that keep getting added, and I'm also shocked at, oh my gosh, that was like, I turned on the Amazon the other day and I can't remember even how I got in there, and the little icon followed me. It just was there. And I was able to hit that button and pay right away. And it's amazing how that stuff keeps changing all the time. And that's just David and his team, hearing. So I think once we get it to spots where the credit unions that have been doing this have really been vested in getting this to work work well and easy. And, there's that, when we ran the Amazon, I had people, like I told my chief experience officer, I said, do not listen to what anybody said that's negative. This was all good. Hear what they're saying a negative, give the negatives to David because they need to fix that. They need to work on those things. But from my perspective, you do that all day long. Just let it go. Don't think, just do. Just let it happen. We have to let people get used to this. There will be people that like, I couldn't get it to work, or I didn't like this, or, this wasn't in there. It's like, who cares? I mean, every time I go to one of these vendors, there's always something that I get wrong with it. Most of it's my fault. And other times it's the vendors. But I always tell David, like, he took out Taco Bell because Taco Bell was terrible. I'm like, Taco Bell's terrible. And he's like, yeah.
The food or the payments process? I think the food's terrible.
The food is terrible. The food is terrible. My family is a lover of Taco Bell. I hate Taco Bell. But it was terrible vendor for David's group.
Okay.
Terrible food. I agree with you. It's terrible.
And Robert, I was just thinking about something you said about like why aren't the big banks focusing on that? And I think the reason is because they don't care about debit card. Nobody cares about debit card. They're all fighting over credit card, right?
But now the big banks are concerned, David. You know this better than I do, that the rates will go down because merchants like Walmart are pushing a bill through Congress. Where it goes, I don't know. That would
It's
result
a race.
in this.
Interchange is a race to the bottom for sure.
Yeah. And if I'm a bank, I look at it, I say, well, this is an interesting way to pump life into a debit card and get me some new revenues.
I agree. But what's interesting is that the merchants and the banks are fighting, right, over interchange. Right?
Oh, viciously.
And what's fascinating is in this system, both walk away happy, right? Because the merchant views it as customer acquisition, right? Not a toll that they have to pay regardless, and they have no say, right? The merchants are setting what they pay for what type of person, right? So they actually have control over it. And then obviously the banks like it because, they're still making revenue off of it and they're able to pass on a large portion of that to their members, right? So in this case, they're both happy. We're an interchange. They're both fighting to the death.
Well, I have a Chase Amazon card, 5% back at Amazon and Whole Foods. I think I've never used it anyplace else. It's not 5% anyplace else. And Amazon does it. This is just 5%. They don't care. They say, great, you'll shop a little more with us.
You'll end up spending more money at Amazon because of that card.
Oh, I do. And they give me pretty much instant cash back to it. There's like a day delay or something. It was pretty quick.
And that's another we have a credit union that's involved, Robert, that does have a cashback program with Amazon specifically. So they're like, oh, we don't really need Amazon in it because we've got our own. It's like, well, how the credit unions position this product throughout is up to them, right? So, but sometimes you hear those competing things within credit unions that say, yeah, we already have some things with vendors. It's like, okay. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, once David gives the pitch and then they hear some of the people that are doing it, usually sells itself.
Well, I think what's particularly exciting And you've started by talking about this, Amy, some local merchants. And I know Michigan State Federal Credit Union is really into selling local merchants on a different program than this, but I'm sure that same energy would extend to this.
And we're already working with them on that, which is exciting. Especially, they have such a concentration, especially with their students and faculty. So there's huge opportunity there.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's exciting. I mean, it helps these local merchants survive in the age of Amazon and Walmart.
Yeah, people want to support local, right? We just have to make it easy for them to do it and rewarding to do it as well.
And when you got to know, the members have to know that it's there. Once the members know, they start looking for the different. And if you can then give that merchant, that local merchant, that Cashback Plus logo, and the member sees it and goes, "Ah, I have that," then it starts to make sense. So I think we're all kind of going for the same type of thing. It's just a matter of we had to get our members. We didn't want the businesses to bear the burden of, hey, do you have that Interra Cashback Plus thing?
Right.
We needed
Hey,
to.
no, this product is so cool, and I see a lot of cool things. I'm almost tempted to look at the participating credit unions, sign up with one.
I would recommend, I know the CEO of Interra. I think
We'd be glad to have you, Robert.
I mean, I just my credit union affinity, I don't think is involved with you at all, David.
Well, when we post this on LinkedIn, we'll make sure we tag them.
I think the other thing, Robert, is when we sign up as a QSO, and this, I don't think a lot of credit union people understand this, and I think it goes to your point of why. So as a QSO and my credit union, what's my product? My product is cash. So if I can give David $1 million to help build a tool that's going to save me or give me access to more fee income, how much does somebody pay for a rewards product on a regular basis? The reason we all stopped doing cash back on debit cards is because it was costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if not from like a Suncoast, millions of dollars a month. On this product, I can give him and invest in the company for $1 million or whatever the credit union's percentage is of where they're going. And then I pay that SaaS fee. On top of this, I get fee income. I can't pay anybody for that kind of a product. Literally, I cannot pay anybody to do that, it's frustrating to me that when credit unions look at this, they'll go and pay Fiserv millions of dollars a month to do something horribly worse than what this is. Yet they can't look at past and say, I need to give $1 million and invest it in this QSO. That's when you start looking at what we invest in and should invest in as credit unions. It's products like this that have a payback period that is incredibly easy to calculate. And my monthly expense for this type of a product, if I paid for it anywhere else, I'm way outstripping. Even if, which is not going to happen, even if all of the money were to be gone, I have gotten my $1 million back. The ROI is way past that. And that's not going to happen. But credit unions sometimes look at these things as an investment, like I need to get a certain ROI back just from that investment. They stop looking at what the expense savings is. And that's the real economics is not only is David providing us service that the Cashback Plus that I don't have to pay for, like I have $700 sitting in my Cashback Plus account right now that I earned from the merchants. I didn't pay a nickel for that. They did. David didn't give me a nickel for that. I didn't pay a nickel for that. I love that. How much did I have to? I gave this as from my as my investment into the QSO. I've already gotten my money back. I think that's one of the downsides of people not understanding the QSO model, that some people just get into these things as they're going to just get money back. If you're a user of the QSO and an investor, it's a huge advantage.
Yeah, I've been saying to people, credit union people, who are all up in a frenzy about possibly losing federal tax exemption, that to me, QSO is a vastly more important tool than the federal tax exemption.
I agree with that.
And banks just don't have anything like the QSO system.
Nope. Nope.
And
It's
I,
very
I,
powerful. It's very powerful.
I don't see Bank of America and Chase joining together to talk with a guy like David. I just don't see them in the same room. It's unless they're having a free-for-all match, winner take all.
Before we go, think hard about how you can help support this podcast so we can do more interviews with more thoughtful leaders in the credit union world. What we're trying to figure out here in these podcasts is what's next for credit unions. What can they do to really, really, really make a difference in the financial scene? Can't all be mega banks, can it? It's my hope it won't all be mega banks. It'll always be a place for credit unions. That's what we're discussing here. So figure out how you can help. Get in touch with me. This is rjmcgarvey@gmail.com. Robert McGarvey, again, that's rjmcgarvey@gmail.com. Get in touch. We'll figure out a way that you can help. We need your support. We want your support. We thank you for your support. The CU 2.0 podcast.